Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're back in the garage again. Going to do a follow-on video from the last video I put out on the Mini GS Adventure. Yes, quite lots of people watched that video. It got a great response and lots of great comments from everybody, from lots of people all over the world. So the good news is I've now finished the brackets. They're ready to install on the bike and it's looking pretty darn good. So we'll look back a wee bit on the few wee excerpts from the last video to bring you back up to speed, and then we'll show you the installation of the brackets. At the moment this is very rough. Believe me, this is not the finished article. This mounting here, which will potentially bolt onto the side. So I've put on this side, you can see there's three other mountings. There's a top mounting here made from some alloy plate. Again, it's ugly at the moment. I've still to finish these off. There's another mounting at here as well at the bottom. But here anyway, we're all prepared, ready to install the new bracket with the wee mounting lugs on and everything else. It's all ready. And if you remember back from last video, the bracket was looking pretty darned grim, but this is it now. We've shaped it, rounded corners, we've cut out a lot of sections from it. And the brackets there also, they've all been shaped, polished. They're looking rather good. So much better than just the chunks of bent alloy that was there before. So yeah, I think it's turned out pretty darn good. It's also taking away the big square slab look from it. Some of the cutouts are there to reduce some of the weight as well, but without compromising on the strength and integrity of the mount. So yeah, this is it. This is what we're going to fit on the bike today. So to fit the bracket, we basically, all the mountings are ready. The wee mounts for these brackets, two here, this one will sit on here, this bracket here will go there, and so forth. If you watched last week's video, you'll have a good idea of how it's all going to go together. So it's a simple case of just offering it up onto the mounts. That's it pretty much in place at that point there. Put a couple of screws into it just to hold it in position. So we'll put these 6mm screws in. Tighten those 3 screws up. It's pretty good. Make sure the wee inserts are in the right place. Yeah, they're sitting just perfect. So the next job is to attach this top mount. And to do that, whoops, where did it go? So the next job is to install this top mount and put on this wee plate in here. That's it on. And I was going to use nylock nuts on it, but I found when I was actually fitting it, it was actually quite awkward to get in there with the spanners, to be honest. So for this top mount, I'm putting in some wee spring washers to make sure nothing comes off. And I'm going to use those extended thread nuts in here for the top mount. So I'll tighten these 2 button screws up. That's a really lovely secure mounting. It fits really perfectly in there, lovely. And in the bottom, it's just pretty much the same thing. But I've got better access to this one, So we'll put on the wee plate, and I'm using just a couple of nylock bolts on, nuts on this one. Give this a wee tighten up. And that's tight. And again, I'm sure you'll agree, that is a really neat mounting. And with the wee plastic inserts in there, there's no damage at all to the mudguard bracket. And that is rock solid. The next mounting is just to fit this bar down here, which will just slacken that screw slightly. And there's a couple of washers going the inside just to space it out slightly. And locate this Allen screw down here and screw in that bottom mounting. That's tight. And give it a wee drag screw there, a wee tighten. That's the bracket fully mounted onto the bike here. I think it looks pretty neat. It's so much nicer than the big square slab that was on there. Yeah, and it's absolutely solid. And I'm really pleased with the way the brackets have turned out. They look great. They don't really look homemade. So all we need now is to find a pannier. And we've got one here which we can... Oh, I forgot to mention actually. Yeah, you might have noticed there's 4 holes on the side here. They've got a purpose as well. I noticed that when I put the panniers on, they didn't quite go in too well because there were these 2 wee screws, it's 2 screws here on the back of the pannier. When it was just a flat plate, the pannier wouldn't sit flat, it kept sitting out. So these holes here, they correspond with these 2 screws, and they basically slip inside these holes, and the whole thing just works perfectly. So yeah, that's why these 2 holes are here. These holes are just to take some of the weight off the bracket. And the case goes on, no problem at all. And we've made exactly the same bracket on this side as well. So that's ready to accept. Another pannier. So that's her. That's the 2 panniers mounted on. And I have to say, they are solid. Absolutely solid. Now, all it needs to complete the mini GS Adventure is to fit a top box onto her. Yeah. So there she is, the mini GS Adventure. Lots of carrying capacity between the top box, the 2 panniers. Absolutely fantastic. It'll swallow up all the luggage and the kit I'll need on the wee adventure that I've got planned for this wee bike. I think it looks pretty darn good. And all of the weight is inboard exactly where the pillion would sit. There's no back heavy box overhanging the back end and upsetting the ergonomics of the bike. So I'm pretty confident this won't really upset the handling at all. It'll be as good or better than potentially carrying a pillion. I'm really, really pleased with it. I can't believe just how strong. There's a wee bit of flex here, but what's actually flexing is the pannier. The bracket's not moving at all. It's actually the pannier itself that's flexing. So yeah, pretty darn good. another good feature of using the panniers when I'm out, because I'll be doing some filming as well. Can normally have kind of cameras mounted up on the handlebars, but on the panniers I've got wee mounts down here, so I can potentially clip on an action cam down here and I can get some slightly different views as well. I didn't just stop there, to be honest. I've done something else to the bike. It's not just this. And I'll show you what I've done. On the panel here, where we've cut it out from one of the pieces of alloy that I cut out with a jigsaw, I didn't waste the other side. I've actually made another wee bracket from the piece that came out of the other side. And what I've done is I've made a tiny wee alloy bracket as well, because I run tyre pressure monitoring on this bike, and normally I had a wee mount that was bolted on here, which looked pretty ugly, to be honest. But that's where this wee gauge was attached to. And I thought, it's so much nicer if I can get a wee bracket and it sits down centrally down here. So yeah, that's what I've done. I've made the wee alloy bracket from that wee offcut, and I've mounted the tyre pressure monitoring there. And it's perfect because it's right in line with the rest of the gauges. So yeah, haven't wasted anything. We're ready to go. We're ready to hit the road. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free. And I look forward to you joining me on some of my future adventures. Take care, ride safe. Bye for now.